So there have been a ton of leaks recently about the Battle Royale that is coming to Modern Warfare, hopefully sometime this month. There's not an official date, but most people are thinking within the next few weeks. One of the interesting things that came out today that data miners were able to leak is the 200 plus challenges that are going to be available within this specific mode. So in today's video, I'll be focusing on a couple key challenges. Obviously, if you want to read through the entire list, that will be linked down in the description below. So if you read through the list, there's a combination of daily challenges and then there's also missions. I think the missions are going to be very similar to the missions that we have within multiplayer, where you select a specific challenge, you got to go and complete those in order, and then once you've done that, you'll get rewards along the way. Whereas I think the daily ones will function very similar to how they're currently working, where everyone gets a different set of challenges daily and they just rotate on a regular basis. So the first challenge we'll take a look at is called the Biggest Booms. It says buy 4 kill streaks and it rewards 100 XP. So yes, there's going to be some score streaks, kill streaks within the Battle Royale. There's supposed to be some supply stations around the map where you're able to buy armor plates, which will hopefully restock your armor if it is damaged. There's gas masks, so you can be a little bit safer while you're in the storm. Gas, out of the circle, out of the zone, whatever you want to call it within this particular BR. There's supposed to be a precision airstrike, shield turret, cluster strike, a UAV, a munitions box, as well as a drop kit marker. We'll circle back around to a few of those items throughout the video. One thing I'll also touch on is there's also supposed leak that there's a tactical nuke available within this mode. Obviously, if they're supposed to have like a 200 player battle royale, it could be very possible to get 30 kills without actually dying. The next thing we'll talk about is easy money. Collect 15 piles of plunder from the ground, also another 100 XP. The thing with plunder is supposed to be an in-game currency that we don't quite understand all the different details of how it's going to work. But when you go to these supply stations, you're going to be able to buy stuff with your plunder. The interesting mechanic for me with the plunder is you can actually deposit this within ATMs, so that if you do not make it to the end of the game, you're still going to have that plunder when you return back to the main menu. So I'm really interested in finding out how they're going to balance this mechanic out, because obviously if I play the game 10 hours a day and I get really good at the game, I'm going to get a ton of plunder. So every time I jump into the match, I can literally buy whatever I want. So I wonder if they're going to set a cap on how much plunder you could take into a match, or how much you can hold at one time. Because obviously for a casual player that maybe only plays a half an hour a day, or maybe only 2-3 hours a week, you're not going to be able to get nearly as much plunder as other people who are literally grinding the game non-stop. That brings us to the next challenge, which is discriminating taste. Collect your loadout one time, another 100 XP. So I think this is one of the parts that was a little bit confusing to people, because in the main menu that has been leaked, people were able to create their own loadouts. So this is where you're going to be able to get access to those loadouts. So when you're in the main menu, you're going to set up those individual created classes. And then when you go to the supply stations, you're going to use your plunder. That's going to give you a drop kit marker. You're going to have to head to that drop kit marker. And then with the plunder, you're going to have to buy that specific loadout. So there's multiple steps there, but that is a way to guarantee you get the specific loadout you want. So to a certain extent, you obviously have to work for it, but also it's going to remove a little bit of the randomness if you like a specific loadout over another. The next challenge is called Headhunter. Complete 2 assassination contracts for 100 XP. So this challenge is a little interesting to me, because I wonder how much intel they're going to give you about the specific target. For example, obviously if it says kill XYZ player, how the heck are you supposed to know where XYZ player is? So I wonder if it's going to give a general location. We're going to talk about the specific locations in a little bit, but I wonder if it's at least going to say, hey, this person is near the quarry. So it gives you their location without actually giving you their location. The next challenge is hazardous work environment. Survive 1 second or seconds in the gas field. So obviously that gives us a clue as to the name of the out of bounds area. It's going to be called the gas field. And on top of that, I wonder how deadly the gas field is, because if the challenge is only for 1 second, that's not very challenging in my opinion, unless it's going to deal a lot of damage. Or this is one of those challenges where they just swap out the value and reward more XP. For example, they said 15 seconds, then maybe you'd get 1,000 XP. We'll kind of have to wait and see on this one. So this next challenge is called Well Protected. Use 6 armor plates for 100 XP. This part, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, because previously the leak said that you're going to have a ballistic vest. There's going to be various rarities. Depending on which one you have, that's how much damage it will actually absorb. And the same thing, there's supposed to be helmets that absorb a certain amount of damage, and it works very similar to Apex Legends, whereas the rarity increases, you do get more protection. But on top of that, the highest rarity also comes with some kind of stat bonus where you're able to heal faster or something along those lines. So in my opinion, this could go one of two ways. One is that you just swap out the armor and it repairs it to full, or it could actually work a lot the way that Blackout did, where you have those armor plates and those are used to repair your current armor. The next challenge is called Philanthropist. Buy your team back into the game 2 times for 100 XP. So this is one of the ones that's a little bit confusing to how this mechanic is going to work, because on the supply station, it also lists that you're able to do a squad buyback. But in other leaks, they say that there's a respawn token system where you only get 1 respawn per match that is linked to the Gulag. And the Gulag is supposed to be this 1v1 pit where basically everyone that's died on the match kind of spectates who 1v1s, and if people win their 1v1, they get an opportunity to come back into the match. So I'm really interested to see how this mechanic works. The next challenge is taking initiative. Get a kill before the first circle closes 1 time. So I know this is kind of a standard battle royale mechanic where there is some kind of zone that continues to close upon itself and gets smaller and smaller, but it does bring us a little bit of insight to how that mechanic will work within Modern Warfare. The next challenge is called Test Drive. Pilot a vehicle for 5 minutes. And the vehicles that have been leaked so far are the ATV, an SUV, a helicopter, a cargo truck, and a TAC rover. And overall, I actually like that list. I think it keeps it very grounded so that they're pretty much only used for mobility, whereas a tank would have been a little bit excessive, in my opinion. These next 4 challenges I'm pretty much just combining. It's Crushing with Commons, Lethal with Legendaries, Rampage with Rares, and Exterminate with Epics, which basically require you to get kills with a specific weapon rarity: common, legendary, rare, and epic. And this kind of throws me off a little bit because some of the leaks previously said that there'd be attachments that you could pick up around the map. So I wonder if you're going to be able to pick up a weapon. It already come with a base set of attachments. Then as you move around the map, you will be able to swap out some of those attachments. So with it set up that way, it seems like it would work very much like H1Z1 or even like Fortnite, where it just has a specific rarity. You pick up the weapon, you don't really have to worry too much about attachments. The opposite example of that is in Apex Legends, where pretty much you get all the weapons. They don't have a specific rarity. Obviously, some are better than others, but pretty much they're based off a particular weapon class. And once you pick up the individual weapon, your goal is to try and loot the attachments for those individual weapons with the highest rarity, because obviously the higher the rarity, the better the attachment will likely be. So with those individual challenges being so specific to a weapon, that kind of throws it off a little bit and kind of throws out those initial leaks where they said there'd be attachments all around the map. The next challenge is Survivor. Survive 20 minutes without being down. So even though this is a pretty simple challenge, it kind of tells us a lot about the length of the matches. Normally in Blackout, your matches are typically be anywhere between 15 to 18, maybe even 20 minutes at the max. And if that were the case, it would just say survive a match without being down, but that's not the case. It's saying survive 20 minutes without being down, which tells us that pretty much every match is going to be longer than 20 minutes. So that could be 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it could be a whole hour. We'll kind of have to wait and see on that one as well. Next challenge is In Charge of the Yard. Win 1 Gulag match. And that one is specific to what we kind of talked about earlier with having to 1v1 to get back into the match. So for these next set of challenges, you have to start 1 contract within a specific zone. First zone is that airfield zone, which could be terminal, who knows, we'll see if that's added down at a later date. Boneyard zone, which is the new ground war map. Dam zone, which doesn't look like it's in the game currently. We have downtown zone, which should be Tavors district within ground war. We also have the farm zone, which is Krovnik farm most likely. Gulag zone, which looks like you should be able to go to the Gulag even if there isn't PvP going on. Not currently in the game, but it's likely that could be added as a 2v2 map at some point. There's also a hospital zone and a layover zone, which I can't really link any maps to those areas. There's a lumberyard zone, which might be Hackney Yard. Port zone, which is the port of Verdansk. Quarry zone, which is probably the quarry map that is in ground war. The stadium zone, which looks like a brand new area. That might be a ground war map as well. You can kind of see that right outside of Tavors district. There is a storage zone. Maybe that's shipment. Maybe there's a part of that map that'll be included. The super center zone, which is the new Atlas map. And then there's also train yard and TV station zones. So that's a lot of various zones on the map. It looks like the map is going to be fairly large. I've already seen some of the overhead views. And if you go into vacant or the new Atlas map, you go into a spectator mode, you can actually look around the map and it's fairly well rendered, or at least to kind of visualize what is going on around the map. There's also a ton of missions, but the only area that stood out to me was the boot camp area. And this specific area, it says to ping an enemy, ping an object on the ground, ping an object on the map, ping danger in the world, ping danger on the map. So I think it's great they're going to have a pinging system. Obviously within Blackout, we had some kind of a pinging system that wasn't all that great. I do hope they go with the Apex Legend version, where pretty much you got to spam a button and it'll tell that specific location on the map and for all your teammates to see pretty easily. So when it comes to pinging enemies, objects on the ground, objects on the map, that seems pretty straightforward. As far as the danger component, it's a little unclear if that's just going to be specific towards enemy equipment. Like, let's say if an enemy places down a claymore, you can mark it and say, hey, there's a danger right there. Or if there's actually going to be built-in world dangers that you'll have to mark for your team that change up from match to match. There's definitely a lot of interesting content that we have to look forward to. If you did enjoy the video in any way, let me know by hitting that like button. And if you're brand new to the channel, or you're part of that 77.9% that keeps on watching my videos, makes it to the end, but forgets to subscribe, definitely remember to hit that red subscribe button with notifications on. And for anyone looking for more ways to stay connected, the links to all my socials are down in the description below, as well as the links to my partners over at Gfuel Energy, Respawn Gaming, and Kontrol Freeks, where using code JGOD will give you a discount at checkout. Appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.